Virulence, written by Christopher Pennington. Fade in. Exterior, plain, night. Superimposed winter 1992 over the South Atlantic Ocean. An airliner en route to Chile weaves its way through a powerful storm over the South Atlantic Ocean in the middle of the night. Rain comes down hard with lightning that cracks across the skyline. Focusing in on one window in particular, we see a man who's seated and looking in some distress. Interior plain, night. The man seated is Professor Henry Lewis, British, late 50s, gray hair. He shifts around in his seat uncomfortably, desperately trying to catch some sleep. Sweat pours from his head as he begins to cough, covering his mouth before scratching at a large wound on his arm. Looking out of the plane's window, the professor casts an eye over the storm raging outside, then glances down at his hands that shake uncontrollably. He rubs them together, then takes an aspirin, washing it down with some water. Coughing once more, he finally gets up and makes his way down the aisle of the busy plane and into the onboard toilet. Interior toilet, night. Once inside, the professor begins to vomit heavily into the toilet. Bringing his head back up, he looks down and, to his horror, finds the toilet now covered with regurgitated blood. Slowly running one of his fingers around the inside of his mouth, he finds it to be covered in blood also. He then flushes the toilet and hastily gets to his feet, washing out his mouth, then swiftly exiting. Cut to. Superimposed 3 days later. Exterior research vessel, South Atlantic, day. After departing from Punta Arenas in Chile, the research vessel with Professor Lewis on board sets sail for its destination on Anvers Island. Interior research vessel, cabin, night. On board, there's a knock on a cabin door.
Come in.
The cabin door opens. One of the crewmen steps inside.
Professor, how you holding up?
The professor doesn't look in good shape. Laid up in bed, he coughs and sputters discreetly, wiping the blood from his mouth.
Fine, thank you.
You sure? You don't look too good.
I said I'm fine. I just need to rest.
Okay. Just to let you know, we'll be arriving on Anvers Island in around 12 hours' time.
Just let me know when we're there.
Professor Lewis rolls onto his side, trying to get some rest, and doesn't utter another word to the worried-looking crewman, and continues to gaze over at the professor. He then leaves the cabin. Cut to. Exterior research vessel, day. The research vessel docks at Kennedy Station on Anvers Island. Exterior Kennedy Station, Anvers Island, day. A pale-looking Professor Lewis disembarks the vessel carrying his equipment. He's met by John Davies, a middle-aged-looking man sporting glasses and a beard.
Professor Lewis, my name's John Davies. I'm the research leader here at Kennedy Station.
Nice to meet you, Mr. Davies.
The two shake hands. John then turns to the research vessel. The crewman who spoke to Professor Lewis earlier is standing on one of the decks.
Hey, John.
Yeah?
You got a storm headed your way in a few hours' time.
So I heard.
Looks like it's going to be a bad one. We won't be able to make it back until it passes.
Right.
Tell Richie to keep in touch.
Will do. Take care.
The vessel begins to depart the island.
See you guys soon.
John waves the ship off, then turns back to Professor Lewis.
Come on, Professor. I'll show you around. Here, let me take that.
Lewis hands his backpack over to John. The two men set off walking and head towards the main building.
So how was your trip over here?
Exactly as I thought it would be. Long, boring, and very cold.
Yeah, you never quite get used to it. 3 days aboard that vessel tends to make any man go crazy. But you're here now, at least, and we've all been looking forward to your arrival. To have a geologist with your vast knowledge and experience is a particularly proud moment, not just for myself, but the whole team.
Yes, well, thank you for having me.
I heard a rumor you were due to work in this part of the world about 10 years ago.
Yes, quite true. I was asked to take part in a small project for the Geological Survey, and was all set to conduct my research at Outpost 31. Until that terrible accident happened. It took the lives of the men working out there.
I remember that. It was a very upsetting time, particularly for those of us stationed out here. I read only 2 of the bodies were recovered.
They arrive at the entrance.
Ah, here we are, Professor.
The 2 men go inside the main building. Interior, main building, corridor, day. John and the professor make their way down a narrow corridor.
This is the main building. It's the main hub for all the research we carry out on a daily basis. It also houses the kitchen, a rec room, sleeping quarters, and the infirmary.
The 2 men continue down through the mazy, narrow corridors. They turn a corner and arrive at another, which is lined with bedrooms on either side.
These are the dormitories. It's a far cry from staying at the Hilton, but it's the best we've got. I've already arranged to have a room made up for you, but for now you can leave all your stuff in my room until yours is ready.
Thank you.
Continuing past the dorms, they come to an office door with physician printed on it.
I'll introduce you to Dr. Wilson. He's our resident physician on camp.
John knocks on the door.